Half a day and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to your Guam Congress building. The committee will, on the agenda this afternoon is the appointment of the reappointment of Maria Eugenia H. Leon Guerrero to serve as a member of the Board of Commissioners of Hagåtña Restoration and Redevelopment Authority Board of Commissioners, and the reappointment of Carlos Madrid Alvarez-Piñer, Ph.D. to serve as a member of Hagåtña Restoration and Redevelopment Authority Board of Directors. Half a day and good afternoon again. This hearing on the Committee on Human Resources, Hagåtña Revitalization, Regional Affairs, Public Libraries, Telecommunications, Technology, and Federal and Foreign Affairs is called to order. It is 3:09 in the afternoon. For the record, and in accordance with 5 GCA Chapter 8, Subsection 8107, public hearing notices were sent out on Monday, October 7th, 2024, adhering to the 5-day notice requirement, and a second public notice on Friday, October 11th, 2024, 48 hours prior. In addition, this hearing was noticed on the legislature's website at www.guamlegislature.com, the Government of Guam's public notice website, and through a TV advertisement on the Public Broadcasting System Guam. Written testimonies may be submitted by emailing Senator Muña Barnes at guamlegislature.org, or you may hand deliver to our office at Suite 411, 134 West Soledad Avenue, Hagåtña, Guam, and that's at the Bank of Hawaii building. Joining me this afternoon, I'd like to recognize Senator Tello Taidagui and Dr. Linda Masi for being present here this afternoon for this hearing, for these hearings. Before we proceed with the discussion, I would like first to provide some general rules of conduct for all who are here in attendance. The conduct of this hearing shall be as follows. Those testifying will be recognized in the order of sign-up on the sign-in sheet. Written testimony may be read and submitted to the committee. Please provide our legislative staff with your written testimony for photocopying. Persons will be allowed to present oral testimony only once. Lengthy testimony should be summarized to 5 minutes. Once you are done, please remain in the room for any questions by my colleagues. Questions and testimony shall be confined to the substance and nature of the agenda. Personal inferences to the character or the motive of any senator or any individual testifying is not permitted. Any violations of this general rule of conduct will result in the removal of the hearing room. When you speak, please make sure that the microphone is on and that you speak into the microphone. And then I will ask, please state your name for the record and where you're from. Those who do not follow these rules of engagements will be removed from this public hearing room. Again, on the agendas are the reappointment of Maria Eugenia H. Leon Guerrero and the reappointment of Carlos Madrid Alvarez-Piñer, Ph.D., and both to serve as members of the Board of Commissioners, Hagåtña Restoration and Redevelopment Authority Board of Commissioners. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for being here. And in the interest of time, since they're both up for the same board and both have an individual who is here to testify and present written and oral testimony, we'll go ahead and hear everything together. So you can do your testimony for both. I'd like to thank Ms. Maria Leon Guerrero for being here, and Dr. Carlos Madrid for also being here, and also here to testify for both of them is Chilette Leon Guerrero. I will go ahead and start off with you, and thank you again for being here this afternoon to present testimony in support of both Dr. Madrid and Ms. Maria Leon Guerrero. Masi.
Thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of Maria Leon Guerrero. And I'm here to express strong support for Maria's renomination as Board Commissioner of HRRA. Maria has 15 years of experience in the banking sector, currently serving as the Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer at the Bank of Guam. Her leadership has been pivotal in growing net profits significantly demonstrating her capability to drive financial success and strategic initiatives. As a visionary leader, she has successfully built a performance-driven culture within her organization. Her ability to motivate cross-functional teams aligns perfectly with HRRA's need for collaborative efforts in revitalizing Hagåtña. Maria has a strong network across private, public, and nonprofit sectors developed through years of community service and business development. This network will be invaluable in fostering partnerships that support HRRA's objectives. The HRRA plays a crucial role in restoring and developing Hagåtña. Maria's background in strategic planning and community engagement positions her to effectively contribute to this mission. Maria's experience in developing strategic partnerships will be essential for successful program implementation. Maria has led initiatives that transformed banking operations through digital transformation and strategic partnerships. Her analytical approach will help guide HRRA in developing effective strategies for urban development. She's dedicated to ensuring that all community voices are heard, which is vital for HRRA's mission. Her previous role demonstrates her commitment to fostering an inclusive environment that values diverse perspectives. Maria served as the chairperson of the Board of Commissioners from 2019 to 2024. She worked with leaders across government agencies and the legislature to socialize, incorporate feedback, and secure buy-in for the Hagåtña Master Plan. Under her leadership, the Serena Festival was introduced in May 2022 to build community in our capital city, like the seasonal festivals hosted prior to the war. Also during her leadership, HRA was able to obtain over $1 million in new federal grants for the Hagåtña River Channelization and Watershed Feasibility Study and other resources for HRRA. She has a proven track record establishing leadership development programs and enhancing organizational structures, which have resulted in improved productivity and morale. These skills will translate well into enhancing HRRA's operational effectiveness. Maria's extensive qualifications, proven leadership abilities, and vision for enhancing Hagåtña make her an asset to HRRA. I wholeheartedly and without reservation support Maria's confirmation as a member of the Board of Commissioners of HRRA.
Thank you, and you may proceed with Dr. Madrid's split.
Okay. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak on behalf of Dr. Carlos Madrid. And likewise, I'm here to express support for his nomination as a board commissioner of HRRA. I have had the privilege of knowing Carlos Madrid for over 23 years. He is not only intelligent and engaging, but also diplomatic with a profound passion for Guam's history. Carlos is open-minded and values diverse perspectives, which fosters a collaborative environment. He possesses a strong ethical foundation and is deeply committed to transparency in all of his professional actions and decisions. Currently, Dr. Madrid serves as a Director of Research at the Micronesian Area Research Center at the University of Guam. He brings extensive expertise in history, culture, and architecture of Hagåtña, particularly during the Spanish era. Notably, he introduced Hagåtña studies into the scholarly work at MARC and developed the app Visita, the first digital recreation of historic Hagåtña. He financed this project himself and made it freely available to the people and institutions of Guam. Prior to his role at MARC, Dr. Madrid was the director of Instituto Cervantes in Manila, Philippines, where he played a pivotal role in various initiatives and secured funding for projects in Guam and the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. Dr. Madrid's commitment to Guam is evident through his contributions to organizations such as Humanities Guahan, Pacific Historic Parks, and others, where he has held leadership positions and made significant professional contributions. During his previous term from 2019 to 2024, Dr. Madrid served as the Secretary of HRRA Board of Commissioners. His active participation in board meetings, committees, and organizational events showcased his dedication to promoting HRRA's mission through writing, presentations, and community engagement. His advocacy for the redevelopment of Hagåtña extends beyond his service to HRRA. Reflecting his deep commitment to our community, We greatly appreciate his willingness to commit to a second term. Dr. Madrid's lifelong dedication to uncovering Guam's history, especially that of Hagåtña, demonstrates how his personal values align with our organization's mission and vision. This alignment is crucial for fostering a cohesive board culture. I wholeheartedly support the nomination of Dr. Carlos Madrid to the Board of Commissioners of the Hagåtña Restoration and Redevelopment Authority without reservation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And before I ask the two appointees for reappointment here, I'm going to go ahead and note for the record that we received letters in support of, and I'll just go ahead and say it, from a Christine M. Walk, Principal Architect, in support of Maria Eugenia H.D. Guerrero, and also the Cornerstone Valuation Guam Inc., and then David John in support of for the reappointment for Maria Eugenia H. Leon Guerrero. I want to make sure I get everything here. And that's it for right now. And I will go ahead and start with Ms. Leon Guerrero. You may go ahead and present your testimony, and then I'll have Dr. Madrid, and then I'll open it up to my colleague.
Half a day, there we go. Half a day, Vice Speaker and Chairwoman Muña Barnes, Senator Taitagui, and members of the Legislative Committee on Hagåtña Revitalization. Thank you for the opportunity to express my interest in serving another term on the Hagåtña Revitalization and Redevelopment Authority Board of Commissioners. During my first term, the majority of the board's time was spent overseeing the reestablishment of HRRA as a separate government agency, familiarizing ourselves with the work products of the Hagåtña Master Plan, socializing the plan with new leadership in the various government agencies as well as the legislature, and finally preparing the plan for final presentation to the legislature. Unfortunately, in the final years of our term, our agency went through a series of turnover in the executive director role. For a small agency like HRRA, this critical human resource issue essentially brought all of our activities to a halt. I'm happy to report that after a year and 4 months, we have successfully identified and appointed a new executive director, Ms. Gillette Tori Leon Guerrero. I am confident that with Gillette's extensive background in history, genealogy, the arts, grant writing, and nonprofit leadership, we have the right skill set in place to move the authority forward. We are particularly excited to re-engage with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to explore options for mitigating both river and coastal flooding threats to our capital city. HRRA has also been identified by the administration to avail of the HUD Distressed Cities and Persistent Poverty Technical Assistance Program. Through this program, HUD provides technical assistance directly to entities serving smaller communities with populations under 50,000. Possible areas of support include governance and management, leadership development, data and research, building partnerships, community engagement, strategic planning, plan implementation, and program evaluation, to name a few. In summary, I am excited and optimistic about the opportunities that lie ahead for HRRA and the potential to bring value and economic development to our capital city, and by extension, to our entire island. I believe in the potential of this agency to make a difference over the long term, and I would be honored to recommit my efforts to move the mission forward. Si Dios masi.
Buen provecho, Ms. Guerrero. Dr. Madrid?
Yes, half a day, Vice Speaker Muña Barnes, Commissioner Taitagui, Senator Taitagui, good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. It is both an honor and a privilege to present myself for consideration to continue serving as a Commissioner of the Hagåtña Restoration and Redevelopment Authority. For the past years, I have been deeply committed to the preservation and revitalization of Hagåtña, a city that is not only central for the history of Guam, but that of the Mariana Islands and of the Chamorro people in general. I have done so with my academic background in history and my professional experience in management of cultural resources. My commitment for the restoration and redevelopment of Hagåtña transcends this capacity and stands as a lifelong advocacy for the mission of HRRA. I have sought to join forces with those who contribute to the preservation of the capital cultural identity while ensuring it evolves in ways that meet the needs of future generations. As you may know, my professional background includes roles such as the directorship of cultural institutions and the uncovering of historical narratives. During my time with HRRA, I have worked to build the gaps between the different stakeholders by emphasizing not only the aesthetic restoration of Hagåtña, but also its revitalization as a cultural, social, and economic hub. I believe that the preservation of historic sites is essential for both educational purposes and as means of creating a living, breathing city that honors its past while welcoming the future. My approach to this role has been to combine historical awareness with existing innovative urban planning. I believe Hagåtña can be a model city that balances heritage preservation with modern development, echoing the pride that Guam residents take in the history of their capital city. As it has been mentioned, I have devoted my personal time and resources in creating a locally centered augmented reality app available for free, reproducing Hagåtña as it looked during the 1890s and reproducing how the government palace looked during the Spanish era. I also, in the context of the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Guam, I recently published an article about Hagåtña, with the focus aims to bring further appreciation of the cultural history of Hagåtña to the forefront of redevelopment efforts. As a commissioner, shall continue, if I enjoy the endorsement of the House, to continue to advocate for the sustainable development that aligns with the historical and cultural values of Guam. I am committed to working towards ensuring that Hagåtña remains a place where heritage is preserved and culture is celebrated, but also where economic and social opportunities for the future are built. I respectfully ask for your support in allowing me to continue serving in this important capacity. I remain dedicated to the ongoing work of the HRRA and look forward to collaborating with each of you to ensure Hagåtña's bright future. And thank you again for this opportunity.
Buen provecho, Dr. Madrid, for being here. Also to Director Gillette Leon Guerrero. Thank you for your presentation, and Ms. Maria Leon Guerrero. And you know, you both spoke about the crucial role in how HRRA's mission should be presented to the people, and literally it's restoring and redeveloping Hagåtña, which is the capital of Guam, and literally restoring it to its original glory. And with the expertise that we have on the table and the experiences you have, I think that I know that we had a lot of bumps in the road. We had a lot of really crucial shortfalls as it relates to resources and seeing the importance of why this HRRA has a mission mandate that should continue for our island of Guam, and I'm hoping that with your continued commitment that this agency will move forward. I've always said that when it was created in the vision of those who lived here in the capital city of Hagåtña for Guam, that this is where everything happened, you know, pre-war, post-war, thousands and thousands of years ago. This is where it was at. This is where our families came from before they migrated out into the different villages around the island. And I just want to say it's sometimes not an easy task. And with everything that we've gone through, the cycles, the evolution that's gone through, at one time we had a partnership with a nonprofit organization that I can say I was a part of with folks like the late David Hanley, who literally, and the late Chris Bajaro, and there's so many lates that were in the nonprofit organization side that help bring upon over 1.7 million just to rename the historical parts here in Hagåtña, the 17 parts. But there's so much more that can be done to bring back, and I know that with the expertise you have and what can come through with grants and with other resources, we're working closely with Spain and the agreements that we have in statute to help move that forward, that continue to move. And I know that I've said I've committed to that, and I'm here to continue that. God willing, I get to continue to be a part of this. I think that it should be done. I've seen different renditions of the master plan. I think it needs to come back to the forefront. We've tried it before. We were unsuccessful. But I think with the team going forward, I think we can do that. So I'm going to go ahead and yield to my colleague, Senator Tadegui. You have the floor at this time for questions or comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good afternoon. And of course, good afternoon to the appointees and nominees, and now the Executive Director of Hagåtña Restoration. I had no idea, that you were the director. You were at Caja, right? How long were you at Caja? Oh, just for name. Go ahead and press so they can hear you. Okay.
Yes.
How long were you at Caja?
Just a year.
Just a year. And now you're at Hagåtña Restoration.
Yes, 11 days.
11 days. Okay, I think the first time you came in front of us, you were here, that short of a time too, before coming in front of us. So, Maria, and is it okay if I call you Dr. Carlos? I don't want to, I don't want to.
Carlos is okay.
Okay, is that okay? Okay, thank you so much. And Maria, oh my gosh, superwoman. This, I just don't know where you find the time. Everything from, and please stop me if I'm not correct on this, but you are also the chairwoman, presently the chairwoman of the Guam Foundation for Public Education. You're also the Sanctuary Incorporated of Guam chairwoman as well.
Yes.
You're also the principal member of Ifamalawan Oral History Project.
That's right.
And you're also the treasurer of the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce. And you're also the chairwoman of the University of Guam Island Sustainability, correct? Is that, or that's no longer?
Right. That one is a community advisory board, so there's no fiduciary. But yes, I'm the chair of the community advisory board.
Okay, it says chairwoman here. So yes, you and then now you're seeking for reappointment to be a member of the Hagåtña Restoration, and you're currently the chairwoman of that as well. Correct? Okay, and I have a funny feeling you'll stay in that capacity if you're appointed in, but yeah, you're definitely superwoman. And you have 2 children, right? Or is it 3?
It's 2.
It's 2. Oh gosh, I don't know how you do it. I really don't, but women are notorious for multitasking, so no offense, Dr. Carlos, but it's a proven fact, actually. First, thank you for wanting to stay in this position. I'm glad you brought it up because I already had my notes down, that it's been a year and 4 months exactly, and you hit it on the nose, year and 4 months that nothing has been going on at Hagåtña Restoration. Mm-hmm. You explained it, that it was because of lack of an executive director there. So that being said, some of the questions I have is, one, who chooses the executive director?
So the executive director really serves at the pleasure of the board.
At the board, right?
But we do, of course, we do consult with the administration to see if they have any potential candidates. Of course, the board, although they do report to the board, they work closely with the administration too. So we rely on them too to help us recruit and source candidates for the position.
So then that individual doesn't come to the legislature. It is approved and hired by the board.
I believe so.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's why I didn't know about this, Gillette. So, okay, number 1. Okay, number 2, who also hires the employees? Is it the board that decides, or now that you got an executive director, does she have the power to do all the hiring, or is it still under the board's power to do that?
I believe the board also has the power to hire employees for the authority, but we also have the ability to delegate that responsibility to the executive director.
So You know, I'm looking at finances for Hagåtña restoration in FY 2024. Hagåtña restoration was appropriated 109,000 with some change. And this year, for FY 25, it's 443,000 and some change. So there has been an increase for that. But my question is, you know, revenue that was never utilized. Since you didn't have a director for a year and 4 months, I'm not sure if there were employees still in place, but where, and then of course, you know, I always look at the board minutes, you know, in the last one, it talked about how some money was taken out of DOI grant and then later on had to be given back. This is April of FY 23. The money was then told to return it back. It was about $32,000, I believe, given back. And that was pretty much the last thing that I know that happened in April of FY 23. And then, of course, it's been quiet, dormant. So that being said, there's also no expenses. According to the board minutes, there were no expenditures in certain areas. So how much funding does Hagåtña Restoration have in money that has not been utilized that's still sitting in your account?
So there are several different budgets that we look at during our board meetings, and the appropriation from the legislature, that one of course has a lot of money left over because we haven't had an executive director. We have 2 staff that are currently with us. We have 1 administrative officer and then 1 program manager, I think is her title. So it's just the 2 of them, and they've been operating, or they've been kind of under the support of Lola Leon Guerrero from BSP, who has sort of been an acting executive director while we found a permanent replacement. So there's that pocket of money. There's also.
Do you know how much that is in that account from general fund money?
I don't have that number off the top of my head. I don't
Gillette, would you happen to have that? Okay. And then there's the grant money, right?
Yes, there's a few different grants. So as I recall, we have a grant, a DOI grant, that was maybe somewhere along like $200,000, something like that. But it's for a very specific purpose, then which we don't have the ability to tap into at the moment. And then we had a few other smaller grants and pockets of money. Okay, so here is just a brief summary. So there was some money from the American Rescue Plan. That one actually is, the balance was only $2,151. We have Compact Impact Operations Offset, which is, has a balance of $289,583. This money actually we had earmarked, originally we wanted to hire a planner to help us move some of the projects forward, but we were having a hard time finding somebody that wanted to be a full-time planner with the organization, so we decided to take a look at contracting that out. And so what we did was we procured a bucket of hours for planner hours to help us in the event that we do have some projects and we can move forward. So that's what that money was earmarked for. We haven't spent any of it yet.
Can that money, is it limited to expenditures on what you can spend on it, or is it pretty much open like ARP funding or general fund money?
You know, I'm not sure what the restrictions are on that, but I only know what we decided that we wanted to spend it on.
Okay, okay, thank you.
And then there is, what Gillette had touched on, there is $975,000 from the Department of Interior that is specifically for the Hagåtña River Channelization and Watershed Feasibility Study. And none of that has been expended yet. And
is there a timeline? I'm sorry, Marie.
Sure.
Is there a timeline on expending this money before it expires, especially for the DOI money, the $975,000?
The grant period here shows it ends on September 30th, 2027.
Okay, we have a couple more years to go then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there was a small amount from the Department of Interior that was earmarked to purchase an electric vehicle for the department, but none of it has not been.
And how much is that?
It's $55,000.
55,000, and it has not been expended, and timeline is the same, 2027?
That one is actually 2026,
Okay.
September 30th, 2026.
26, okay. So, can any of this money be used for, like the DOI money used for administrative cost at all? Because you're given a certain amount for administrative cost. Does DOI, the 975 allow that?
I don't think so. We have to like check to be completely
sure.
certain.
Okay.
But
So-
from what I recall, it has to be used for the
Strictly, yeah.
for the river feasibility study.
Okay, okay. So that being said, is there any money in the general fund that was appropriated in FY '24? I mean, actually, it was FY '23 because you lost your director in April of 2023, all the way up to where we are here today. I believe that you just came on 11 days ago. So that's, almost, that's longer than, that's April to April '24. That's like a year and 4 months. So how much money do you have left over in that?
So it was during Typhoon Mawar, because if you recall, we had, Lacia was our executive director, and then we had identified Adrian Cruz to take over, and then he stepped down. So we kind of got things going again, but I remember very clearly it was during Typhoon Mawar that he had stepped down, and so that's why I was counting since June of last year. Mm-hmm. So that was my 1 year and 4 months.
So how much funding is left over in the from general fund money that was appropriated to you to cover that salary?
I want to say that for the executive director for salary and benefits, it was somewhere in the neighborhood of $75,000 to $80,000.
So you should still have that money.
Annualized?
So you should still have that funding in the account.
That was the prior budget, but sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, can you just, yeah. Okay.
When I checked on that, they said that money didn't, I asked if there was any money that
Carried over?
and I was told no. But
That's odd.
But yes.
That's
But
odd.
That's what I thought.
Because when the legislature appropriates, they appropriate unless, the governor has a 15% transfer authority, but other than that, no one else should be touching that money. You should have that money. So I think, Gillette, you need to take an accounting of where all this funding went to, because, to tell you the truth, during the last session we had for budget, for the FY '25 budget, Hagåtña restoration was on the chopping block to not provide any funding this year at all, because people were aware that they were not doing anything whether you were doing something or not. I know you had 2 employees there. I don't know what they were doing, but definitely there was no executive director there for a year and 4 months. So, they were looking at transferring some of this money, if not all of it, maybe half of it, to DISIT, where they're in desperate need of this funding. So, I guess, the opportunity is to revive yourself. I know Gillette is a very capable individual. And of course, Maria, the superwoman, still on the board, coming back to try again, and get it up and running with all the projects that you have under your belt. I'm really curious, most especially, about where that funding is, where the money is, because once it's appropriated, no one's supposed to touch it, unless it's been expended. And you only had 2 employees there. Curious to see what they did the whole entire time, too, those 2 employees. The other question I have, and my last question, is have you looked at, the defunto, Rita Franquez, a very, very close and dear friend of mine who passed away. Have you found a replacement for her yet, Maria?
No, we have not. We have discussed it. Of course, the value that Rita brought was much different things, but really she was a resident of Hagåtña. She lived here before the war, so she had a certain value that is hard to replace.
Yes.
We would love to have somebody on the board that is a resident of Hagåtña. That's kind of few and far between, but we are definitely discussing who could be good to replace her. If not a resident of Hagåtña, somebody who brings, a skill that would be complementary to the others who are on the board. But to answer your question, we haven't identified a replacement yet.
Oh, okay. Well, yes, she will be a very difficult person to replace. Not just, her history or knowledge about history and what happened, but, her spunk
Yes.
and her attitude
Yes.
was like straight, she told you straight out. I mean, I hung out with her for many years and she taught me a few things to just be straight and blunt to the point. So, yeah, I hope you might want to consider Mike Paris. Mike Paris, you know who I'm talking about, that lives in Hagåtña, near the clock shop right in the back. His family has been here for quite some time. And,
Okay.
But the most important thing I think we're as we're seeing many people who are passing away, is that institutional knowledge as well as history is not being written down. And it all needs to be written down, especially, and I hope Rita was able to at least contribute some of those stories and that they're written down so they can be brought up when need be. So other than that, I again appreciate, because you're a very sought after woman, Maria, and Dr. Carlos. I know I've been asking very many questions to you because, well, if you become the chair, I will be. No, but I appreciate your time. Have you missed any meetings at all? Other than, it's been dormant because your minutes of the meetings on the website only show there was a whole blank of a year and a half, but have you been able to make every one of those meetings since you've been on the board?
To attend any of them?
Have you attended all the meetings?
All of them, yes.
All of them, so you have not missed a meeting?
As far as I can recall, no.
Oh, that's very good. Okay,
Yes,
that's a
yes.
good sign.
Well, I mean, it really is an honor and a privilege to serve. I don't think there is any higher mission that I could conceive as far as my work is concerned that works towards the revitalization of Hagåtña. It really is, and I share the feelings that have been expressed today, and I have gathered over the years also. It's a collective effort, and to be part of this, it truly is a distinction, and I take pride of it. So for me, taking time or effort, I do it with pleasure. Serving also under the leadership of Chairman Leon Guerrero, Leon Guerrero.
She's a hard act to follow. Yeah,
Yes,
that's
indeed.
definitely for sure.
Indeed.
But I appreciate your love for wanting to be a part of keeping history alive, and Hagåtña alive. I appreciate your time coming from a different country, and providing some of your input, So I greatly appreciate that. But we will keep an eye on Hagåtña restoration because, like I said, there are members in this body who feel it should be on the chopping block. So I think it's time to step up the game now that you've been dormant for a year and 4 months. So again, appreciate your time and effort. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Sitos Masi, Senator Tadagüen, thank you very much for bringing up the late Auntie Rita Francos, who's truly a solid foundation for the Board of Commissioners for the Hagåtña redevelopment and had a lot of institutional knowledge. We'll truly miss her. And I know she's looking down saying, don't you quit on us. But I'd like to also recognize Senator Roy Kanata, who's joining us this afternoon. Senator Roy, any comments or questions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Certainly appreciate you guys' presence and definitely taking on this role. I know you guys have your own lives to attend to. You're a mother, and you certainly have a full plate. Man, I think you have more than a fiesta plate, Maria. So I'm very much appreciative of you guys taking up this appointment. Dr. Carlos, I don't know you personally, but I can certainly commend you for your work and your operations up there at the University of Guam. I certainly just was apprised of certain information regarding my family's history of the Spanish occupation. So I'm very much intrigued with a lot of the work you guys are doing up there. I know that a lot of our families have a lot of collective information up there. Statistics and data is all being stored up there. There's a lot of great photos that need to be blown up and saved into an archive, right? You guys are really doing the Lord's work in the history of Guam, right? And I think it's an undertone for all the work you guys really do. It's very tedious. A lot of the documents you guys are touching literally are like Thanos' pride and joy just disintegrating in your fingertips. Like, it's so crazy because there's so much history that's, you know, that we certainly forget oftenly, because it's easy to forget when we don't get reminded of them, right? That's the reason why it's very important and imperative for us to reflect on the history every time we have the opportunity to do so, and not just celebrate it in one time or one day. So I'm very much in support of both of your appointments here. I don't have much questions for you. Probably just two. I understand my colleague already spoke about your unfortunate board challenges. You guys not being able to be meeting because of lack of quorum. So it is my hope that you guys are able to, you know, satisfy that delay and dilemma now. And also the insights of HRRA's plannings. Do you guys have those A&E plans, or are they just still visions?
So are you talking about for the different projects within the master plan?
Yes, correct.
So no. So the projects in the master plan is more like, these are like high level concepts. So you're correct. We have rough orders of magnitude estimates, but those were made pre-pandemic. So those would really need to be updated to be relevant. But when it comes down to it, all the projects in there's a mix of kind of bigger, more complex ones, and smaller, more, I guess, achievable initiatives. But all of it really comes down to, can we identify the funding source, and what are the priorities, and can we kind of make all the stars align to make one of these things happen? But at this point, I think the focus is really just going to be just getting clarity on our funding, getting our processes and administration solid with our new executive director. We never really had an issue with quorum with the board. It was more so because we didn't have an ED, the work just kind of stopped, because without a leader in place, the board can't do much. So now that we have a capable ED in place, I'm very hopeful that we can move forward and get some of these projects off the ground.
Thank you so much. My apologies, Ms. Gillette, I didn't acknowledge you, but certainly I'm very happy to hear that you're the ED. I don't know you personally, but very happy to know that this Hagåtña program can actually start moving forward, and we can start seeing some things come into fruition. I think it's imperative that we try to get our Hagåtña looking more modernized, and also, refaced with our colonial history, right? I think it's imperative that we also fund the operations so that we can ensure that the government also invest in the next generation, and we can actually put government offices and government buildings and, have a whole collective operation down here, so that it can be a one-stop center for government service and efficiency and, the collective operations of the island. Again, once upon a time, the governor's office used to be across the street, right? I think it'll be a very fruitful image for us and our tourism, also, and economic development down here. So, I don't have much questions. Like I said earlier, I'm very much satisfied with you guys' operation. I wish you all the best. If there's anything my office can do to support you guys in your endeavors, please reach out to me. You know how to find me. I'm at the 8th floor DNA. Okay? Have a great day, and thank you again for stepping up and serving our island.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you very much, Senator Kanata, and I do want to note for the record, too, that I'm in full support of both your nominations for the reappointment to this commission, and the value that you will continue to bring. I'm truly grateful and appreciative to you, Ms. Gillette, for literally stepping up to the plate, to taking this executive director position. I know that your many, many, many years of experience in working in both the public and private sectors of Guam, both within the government of Guam and as a nonprofit and as an organization. I know that will bring a plethora of good for what the HRRA needs. It has gone through a whirlwind of literally ups and downs. Right when we think we're going to get to the finish line, and we've turned in this report, so many things have come up. But I think with this new synergy of the reappointments, the executive director, and just getting back from track, you know, overcoming the Typhoon Marwar, we got the Pacific, we got Marwar, and we've got everything else that has been thrown our way, but we haven't quit. and I think that's also really important as we look at the true revitalization of Hagåtña. This, like I said earlier, this is where it was in the mission that our elders, that all those who lived in the village of Hagåtña, like Auntie Rita Franquez's, like the Shimazus, the Ambrose family, like the Sablons, Ph.D.s, and all that. These families have been here and continue to want to support, and you guys are stepping up to the plate in a volunteerism component to help continue to make that difference, but also to tie in back our culture, our history, and what we need to do to bridge both of that coming together. So I'm grateful, I'm thankful. I will make it a point to work the committee reports to get your nominations to session floor by our next session date. So I want to say thank you all for joining us here, our colleagues here today, on the hearing of the reappointment of Maria Eugenia H. Leon Guerrero and Carlos Madrid Alvarez-Piñer, Ph.D. I will call this public hearing on the Committee of Human Resources, Hagåtña Revitalization, Regional Affairs, Public Libraries, Telecommunications, Technology, Federal and Foreign Affairs. Before I call that to adjournment, I just want to say if anyone in the listening audience would like to send questions or comments, they can do so by emailing it to Senator Muña Barnes at guamlegislature.org, or you may hand deliver it to 163 Chalan Santo Papa, Hagåtña, Guam, 96910. That's in the central office here at the Guam Legislature, Islas Latud and Guahan, and or to my office, 4th floor, 134 West Soledad Avenue, Suite 411, here in Hagåtña, Guam, 96910. It's the Bank of Hawaii building. So with that being said, we are now adjourned at 3:56 p.m. Un dankulan si Tus Masi for being here. Si Tus on Benedice Hamza Todos. Salamasi. Thank you.